My name is Daniel Einhardt. I'm African, young and curious. I'm interested as to why my corner of Africa is the way it is, how African solutions are making it better, and how I can get as many people interested in the tools available in improving their lives as possible. You will know me best as a scam buster. Scam busting is a passion. What's better than fighting scam is preventing scams. Every dollar scammed from Africa is a dollar stolen from the mouths and futures of Africans. You can't plan your future if you don't know your past. Now, I'm going to be teaching you a fair deal of history that I believe is important. You won't see a scam if you don't know what is legit. Scammers prey on ignorance like hyenas do on weak animals. I'm Ugandan. It's a beautiful country with beautiful people and plenty of food. Although we have different backgrounds, we are mostly all united behind our Republican motto of government and proud of our home. I'm also a born-free Ugandan. That says a lot about my country, me, and the people around me and where I live. You see, Uganda wasn't really a country until the British Empire decided it was during the colonial era. We had millennial-old traditions and proud histories, but one day, in the 1880s, suddenly, London was effectively our capital. The British imported a series of colonial officials who governed us with as little help from us as possible. They imported a civil service, overrode our languages and much of our culture and enjoyed our resources. They gave us a legal system dating back to some invasion of England in 1066 we never heard of. Now the Germans, the Portuguese, the Belgians, and French also did it. Weirdly, Africans are more divided now on whether they would rather speak English or French than they were united as Africans. Then one day, the colonials simply left. And they did not only left, they left only a skeleton of what was needed to govern a country and run a financial system that would benefit everyone. This happened across the continent, and much at once, us born frees were left to pick up the pieces. The colonizers never expected that the winds of change would lead to a scramble from Africa. Our financial systems were largely as unprepared for what was to happen as our new governments were. Africa, although rich in resources, we had little experience of how to process them and not much money to build infrastructure. If our cleverest politicians and academics couldn't solve this, how was a freshly minted Ugandan, Congolese, Nigerian, etc. citizen meant to know how to look after and grow their money while becoming wealthier? Africans became poorer mostly. African solutions to African problems are what Africans do best. Now, we'll put the past behind for a moment. I want to teach you about how this is happening. We'll touch on microfinance, local remittances, community saving schemes, our wonderful mega African growth settlement services, and how consortiums are helping us to leapfrog the digital divide. In some ways, we are lucky because we get to build everything new and not have to fix what is broken and hope it will work. Now, in Uganda, for instance, nobody really cared when checks were disappearing because normal people never used them. We are going to touch on some unique African case studies, M-Pesa in Kenya, how Rwanda turned itself around, Stockvilles in South Africa, what happened when Nigeria decided to limit the amount of cash in circulation, and so on. Now, I want to spend a lot of time on African currencies. That could be the basis of 100 podcasts on its own. As fascinating as this information is, you can't eat it. Through bringing in experts and researching, I want to highlight how ordinary Africans can benefit from and drive these changes. I personally want to make sure that as few Africans as possible are left behind this time round. I have to start at the basis, of course. What is compound interest, for instance? How do financial institutions make money? And how can you leverage what they offer in your interest? We'll keep having to go back in history. Interesting things are happening in East Africa politically that have a direct influence on my fellow Ugandans and fellow brothers and sisters across the region. We still feel the pain as a person on every level from what happened when Europeans decided they own us and drew the boundaries of what the African states in a conference hall in the 1880s in Berlin. You couldn't make this up. Be that as it may, opportunities arise, and dealing with our own issues are head-on. If you are directly involved in building Africa as a banker, politician, or any other kind of professional or influencer, expect a call from me. If you are as excited about this as I am, contact me directly. And guys, let's not only fix African financial history together, but let's make it.